we all do something like that. What do you expect?
Yeah, it is something. It's prints on fax paper.
I remember it from ECI, the same model.
I'm going to give a short experience report from my Scrum participation. And I'm sorry for my English, I didn't prepare myself, but this is Agile, so I will have to adapt, right? Okay, so I'll start with sprint number 1, okay? This is the start of this evening. And there are a couple of stories, user stories, I will have to complete. First one is to introduce Yaakov, me. Second story is Scrum fall experience. Okay. Third one is my Scrum experience, and another story for testing leftovers. Okay? So as we usually do in Scrum, or at least at the planning, we mark the line of what can we commit for. So I have 10 minutes, about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I guess this is what I can commit for. Okay? So let's start with story number 1. I will introduce myself. So I'm working here at Intel, as I talked before, with Shmuel and Isi, and on a project called Sensor Hub. It's a solution for Intel's platforms, such as mobile, laptops, tablets. And what it does, it uses this physical sensors on the board and do some manipulations with the data, and enables the OS to do something with it. For example, to rotate the screen or to count your steps. And I was testing the algorithm side for 2 years when I joined Intel. So when I joined, the team worked in Waterfall, not the team, also the whole project. And after like 3-4 months, they decided to move to Scrum. So the managers came, they said, okay, let's start working with Scrum. They gave us like a 1-hour introduction to Scrum, and they gave positions to, like, they chose you're going to be the product owner and you're going to be the Scrum Master, and go ahead, start with Scrum. So that's what we did. We had the meetings, the planning, if you know, the dailies, and some more. And that's 2 years I was working with this team, and it was I will continue to this story. This story is done. This is the Scrum Fall experience. Why Scrum Fall? Since we were working in Scrum, but actually Waterfall. What does it mean? There was development and testing team, 2 teams working together in one Scrum, but actually we had a short waterfalls inside of these iterations of Scrum. There was development that took most of the sprint, and then came afterwards the validation at the next sprint most of the times. And for me, it didn't feel like Scrum. We always had to run after the developers and to test what they developed like 2 sprints ago. And we didn't work on the same things together, like as Scrum should be. You should work together with the developers to test immediately the new features, and we didn't. The main reason, I think, for this failure is continuous failure since this team is still, after 3 years now, they switched 5 Scrum Masters, and they still work, I think, in Scrum form. And the first thing that I think that was the failure is management. Okay, they came and they say let's work in Scrum, but no one had any experience with Scrum. None of the managers took any course or suggestions or someone experienced to work with. And up till now, we still see problems. I still see problems coming from this from the management, since they decided the methods that we work with is still in waterfall, like the code releases and how we work together, if we sit together or not, and some other stuff. And that's the main thing I think caused us to still work as a Scrum for. This is done.
Hold a second.
Yes.
Before you close that, I was wondering, you said that many of the problems you attribute to the management. So that leads to 2 questions. The first one is, can you give a specific example of how do you think the process was impacted by the management in a way that hindered your efforts? And the second question is, could you give a specific example of an instance where you think there was a management choice that was inappropriate for Scrum?
Okay.
And the second one is, how did you as a team responded, or how do you and how do you do that? How do you try to push against that sort of pressure, or do you just accept it as is?
Okay. So,
Do you want to treat it now, or do you want to treat it in the round of discussions? As your Scrum Master, I'm trying to protect you from disruptions.
I can answer. Maybe it will take more than 10 minutes, so yeah, I can write it up, and I have another section here, so maybe afterwards.
You're adding a small story.
Yeah, this is gonna be the questions and answers story, right?
Which is beyond the red line.
Beyond the lower red line.
This is not committed.
There is the higher red line and the lower red line.
Want an
Should be.
example for the management, right?
Yes.
Example. And
Team response. I would
team
say,
responds to that
to
example.
that environment, or not necessarily to the same example, but rather to
Some
what did
other-
you as a team do in order to try and promote Scrum?
Okay. Probably can't see what I'm writing, but so my Scrum experience, 2 years at Intel. I took another position of Scrum Master. It's another team, SDK that Intel provides to their customers. So I was an outsider of this team, still working at the algorithms and doing this position, an outsider. And I came to the team to do a very the same Scrumful working team, but they knew their problems, they knew they want to succeed. So we sat together, we defined what we want to do, and I followed the guidelines of Scrum. I had a mentor from Intel that worked at Scrum for a couple of years, and we really succeed in Scrum. I'm still in that team. Succeeding is, what do I mean succeeding? development and testing is being done together. Most of the stories, the user stories we take is for development and testing. Usually, we finish the testing at the end of the sprint. Not much leftovers. We commit for, we can finish most of what we commit for. Most of it was above 90%, 19%. And the things that I think caused this one, the Scrum, to be a good Scrum. One of them is the team. Okay, the team wants it, so we do all the meetings. So we do also retrospective at each sprint. And this retrospective helps us a lot to change things. Like we thought that the product owner isn't effective since he was also the manager of the development. So we switched him, and we had many retros. We developed the Scrum to our own needs, and we're working now as a good Scrum. Okay, if you know Scrum has levels from 0 to 3, I think we're reaching Scrum level 2. So not 3, but improving. I'm also participating now. I finished my work as an algorithm tester, and now I'm leading 2 teams of software drivers. So I'm participating in two other Scrum teams, which they still stuck at the Scrum fall, but I hope soon they'll improve. So that's it. Done. Questions about this?
Well, you will answer first Amit's questions, but I have additional questions since I have some inside information about the group that you are talking about, the groups that you are talking about. Would you say that because that the projects that the groups were working for, yes, the first group and the 2 other groups that are still struggling, they were big projects with, you can say that they had a waterfall expectation, yes, waterfall timeline, big timeline according to Intel Silicons. And the other team where you experience success, they had much more autonomy about their releases and about their project. Would you say that this was a key for the success, or that this was only a side factor?
If that was the key to success, then I think I'm answering him before, yeah. But just know that we finished the sprint, okay? We will not talk about the leftovers, maybe just about this one. So I will answer your question. The 2 years before I joined the team, they didn't succeed. So I think you're right. Maybe they had an advantage, which in SDK is much more easier to Scrum than just like a big project. An algorithm team, which relays on many other teams, but they didn't have a good Scrum before we did a good Scrum. So yeah, it helped us, but I don't think it was the key to success.
I have a follow-up question, Kim. Sorry that I'm actually getting to the next question. Why did any of those teams choose to go with Scrum? Why did they even choose Agile? What was wrong with Waterfall that the management thought Scrum would actually fix?
Yeah.
Or what was the reason? Maybe it's not related. Why did management say, hey, from now on you're starting to do Scrum?
Because everybody does it.
If that's the answer, then that's the answer to the first question as well. But
absolutely.
Actually, he writes, okay? So this question can be asked on any team that works on Scrum, but if you take, yesterday I was in another Agile testing conference, and they show numbers about how you succeed in waterfall or in Scrum. So they show that I think it was 27% of the project succeeded in waterfall, and 41% succeeded in Scrum. So it's not much better.
I'm gonna be James back. Where did they get those numbers?
That's what you get when you do surveys by just sending questions.
What is your personal experience?
That's
What is your personal experience?
Personal
Yeah,
experience?
yes.
Go in, please.
So let me first answer
Summits.
these questions.
Yes.
Okay, so a short answer.
Actually, I want to add another question before you start. I noticed that a successful project was an SDK, and from the little I know about Intel, they do a lot of hardware. So, were the other projects hardware related, or were they also software only? And if so, did that have any impact on the way you release? Because I would imagine that having to actually print something on silicon would delay testing.
So most of the teams are hardware related, and also the SDK
yeah,
team
yeah,
is also hardware related, since this is an SDK for
Yeah,
an hardware chip.
it runs on the same chip, and we need features on the firmware.
Yes, but none of those projects were hardware projects. They all projects which has a lot of dependencies on the hardware, and these projects' goals are to enhance and use the capabilities of our hardware. But all of those projects are firmware or software or pure software, which are all software projects.
So none of them were actually waiting for something to be printed in order to be tested.
ASICs all real hardware.
No, at some points, yes, because we work with simulation until the hardware comes, but then it was across the board. Everybody was waiting
It
for
was
the
blocking
hardware.
development as well.
Yes. And it's not hardware that we do, but
Okay.
hardware for someone else.
I want to give people to talk, but just gonna answer this one. An example
You are
for
skipping the leftovers?
yes.
You
Just
are,
wanted to
you
tell.
are the PO as well, so you are
Yeah.
prioritization.
Yes, correct. So the example for management call that, or actually didn't call, they didn't give us any experts with Scrum. So they choose, you're going to be the Scrum Master, but we don't know nothing about Scrum.
Did you say
And
that?
you won't get any professional agile, not courses, not someone out from outside to guide us how to work.
Did you ask for that?
No. Why not? Because we didn't think we needed. Since no one said that Scrum is a hard thing to do, and we don't know nothing about Scrum, so let's do Scrum.
I
Sounds simple.
I can say just I will complete. I'm not sure if I complete, but I will add my perspective that I think that the organization, the culture, relied heavily on process and on the tools which are used to manage Scrum. So the belief I think that the belief was, if we will set up a good process with our process experts, and we will put everything in the tools that we have, the enhanced infrastructure that we have to manage the Scrums, this will be sufficient. I'm not sure if they thought about it like that, but they thought, okay, we have the framework. So if we will have the framework and the process, it will work. And because I think the emphasis was on the tools and the process, and less on understanding what is Agile, understanding what is Scrum. And it took time and pain till people like Yaakov, for example, and other people from their guts and the pain that they felt, struggled and started to learn and to find out the ways of what this is all about, except for the process.
For the second question, one of the things that the team responded for not doing well in Scrum is the SDK team decided to they said we sit actually development and testing in the different places. They decided to sit together. It really helped them. And I'm pushing for all the team, all the project to sit together. I'm not getting the same good response from managers, but if it works, yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much, Yaakov.
I can talk about my Scrum.